To the stream, the Halloween stream. Can I turn the flashlight on a while? That would be excellent if we could. We are on a golf cart. We are gonna go to the church, see what is happening there. This is our church. We're not where any bodies are buried, by the way. Do you see up ahead?
Yeah, stay away from the grave.
It's a graveyard.
Even if we don't get haunted, that just be mean.
Yeah, we're not going to disrespect any graves. Just make sure everybody knows that before we get started. Just kind of a spooky environment. Not trying to be. He's got the yellow Simpson gloves. It's Jason. And there's some spray paint. We're just going to go chill. Maybe listen to some spooky stories over here. Pretty spooky place, not gonna lie. But I'm glad it's a little bit away from the road. There's a little path to the road there, but not really get too close where anybody could notice us. What light is that? I mean, yeah, there's just a light reflecting on that grave. We are gonna. Oh, that's a brick. We're just gonna. Just gonna chill here for a hot minute. Listen to some scary stories in honor of Hallows Eve. Should have brought that. You want to go get that golf cart flashlight thingy real quick? Yeah. Bring the tape too. Quick delay. We're gonna get the light so you can be able to see us. I mean, you can kind of see me, but just gonna run. Might get over here real quick. Don't be concerned. This is not like I promise you. We couldn't even set up a scary thing live. But this golf cart's lights, if they get bumped up enough, they'll kind of go out. Like, hold up. It's a very sensitive thing, so if the thing gets moved too much, you just have to put it in just the right spot for the light to stay on. All right, Finley, do you know where it is? It should be in the drawer.
What?
The golf cart light. He's gonna go get that light. Hurry up! Don't let me out here. Get the red tape. Red tape. Actually, got.
Your call has been full.
Okay. Okay.
You turn this on. My gloves don't work on it.
Did you get the tape?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, we ran out of battery somehow.
Bro.
Finley, did you leave it on under the Jason thing? No, yes. The answer is yes.
Oh, okay. Do we have another light?
No. Ask Daddy if he has a flashlight. This is a real interruption. Not even a technical difficulty, just a normal person difficulty, because he's a difficult person. If we don't hurry, I'm gonna have to. I'm a little tired of being alone out here, not gonna lie. Not my cup of tea. My capote. That's a GMM reference. Hair is now too long to slide up naturally. Oh, he's got a light. Millie's at the window. Hurry. Come on. Alright. This is being good.
Now we can get truly spook.
Oh.
You're doing it on me. Not because I'm Jason.
That's not very intimidating. Okay. Now I have a light, so that's good. There you go. Sorry for the technical interruption. Our Wi-Fi was on non-data for some reason.
I got my
And it needs to be on data. Any creepers?
people, any silencers.
Creeper.
I'm here for the meeting.
What?
I said I'm here for the meeting. I said slashers. I'm here for the slashers. I'm here for the things. My joke is funny. I want to explain it.
It's true. That can sometimes actually be true, though.
Yeah, it's sometimes, yeah, but not.
In a rare case. Like at the spooky basketball court. The headlights have once again gone off. Wait, were they off? Yes. These things fucking suck. We paid $1,000 for them. And the headlights don't work. We essentially paid for tires.
Happened to no one.
I'm talking to the stream.
No one's in the street.
I'm talking to the people watching the stream after it airs. I don't like shining that light over there.
Oh, I don't like. Stop. Stop. Don't do it. There's gonna be a ghoul over there.
Alright. What?
Does your phone have a kickstand?
Nowhere we could sit it, baby.
Right there.
Alright. I think it's better to put our back towards the house and graveyard and keep our lights over here. Do you agree?
Okay.
We can actually. It's better than nothing, I guess. Alright. How do you even open this phone?
Food, Alex. Cook that. Will you get the kickstand up?
Dude, gosh, just hold it for like a second.
Sit on my gloves.
Scary story number 1. This is by Mr. Nightmare. Let's prop up our light.
When I was 19, my friend Sean, who was a big goofball, came over to Children as he often would during the
Who's a
summer.
goof?
I remember he had a Coke bottle in his hand, and I was eating Wendy's when he said we should check out that creepy little cemetery in Clarkstown. It was the most random idea ever, and I even told him that. Still, we had no school the next day, and I knew exactly which cemetery he was talking about. I don't know if one should even call it a regular cemetery. It's just a small plot of land with maybe 100 tombstones at most. The tombstone's very goofball came over to chill in our basement as he often would during the summer. I remember he had a Coke bottle in his hand and I was eating Wendy's. He said we should check out that creepy little cemetery across.
Pax!
Pax, how'd you get here?
What are you doing
How did
here?
you get here?
Who invited you?
Hello.
Exactly which cemetery he was talking about.
I don't know how he found this.
It's called a regular cemetery.
What's up, Pax? We're watching spooky stories.
In the middle
The
of
tombstone's
graveyard.
very archaic looking, and any time we pass, there would be no signs of anyone having come to visit within the last decade. The site probably dated back centuries, and it had this super creepy vibe to it because it was closed off by a gothic metal fence, and it was surrounded by woods on two sides, the road on one, and some old abandoned building on the other. Everything about it just gave scary vibes. It took a little persuading, but Sean managed to get me to want to check it out too.
What?
Ironically, it was a very cloudy, wettish kind of day, I guess conveniently adding to the mood. Sean pulled up his Honda to the side of the road. I told him to pull up more so it wasn't obvious. This was a low-traffic road, so it would look kind of suspicious. He pulled up a few hundred feet down the road, and we got out and cut through the woods so that any potential passing
Do you have any
traffic wouldn't see us
recommendations? I
entering the
doubt
little
you do, Pax,
cemetery.
no offense. If you have any
Hopping the fence in the
recommendations
woods
for a
was easy.
specific scary
It was
story
maybe
you'd
a
like us to
3
go
or
over,
4 foot fence.
feel free to comment that.
Sean kind of took the lead on this since it was mainly his venture. He led us through the eerie little plot of land, and we looked at the archaic tombstones. They all seemed to be from the 19th century.
Somebody else is here.
The writing on some of them was
Wouldn't it be crazy
illegible
if
at
like
that
somebody was
point.
watching our stream and then came and
I know it sounds super dumb and cliche, but I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched constantly.
That would be crazy.
I started looking around the surrounding woods.
Nobody here knows us.
I told
Nobody
Sean how
Pax doesn't
creepy
know
this
where he
was.
lives specifically.
I know.
He doesn't know
Still,
diplomat.
with the feeling of
I
being
don't think
watched,
Pax is evil
I
either.
looked at the abandoned building next to the
Well, I don't think
cemetery.
Pax. I don't
One of
think
the windows.
Pax. Would you kill us?
For a brief
Be
moment,
honest.
I knew I saw
Who
someone
joined and
standing at the
left? If
window,
you left, I will.
even through the
Oh,
fog,
I'm
smudge,
not in
and
a
dirt on
position
the
to say
glass.
Yeah,
But they casually either ducked or walked away from the
We're
window.
not listening to this at all.
I told Sean we were being watched by someone in that building.
podcast now. Pax, are you still here? Are you the person still here? If you are, then make a comment.
I told him don't.
You
I said
like
we should
my
just-
This story sucks. I'm
like
just
my
gonna see it.
costume?
I stayed still by the tombstone he was looking at while he walked around. My grandpa passed away a few years ago. I was always very close with him. This past July, on his birthday, I paid him a visit at the cemetery. The cemetery he and my grandma chose to be buried at was about an hour drive from my apartment. My family lived closer, so they all went to his grave together. I had to go separately.
Pax, if you're still here.
It was a rainy, depressing day, and there's nothing worse than visiting a cemetery on a gloomy day.
I mean,
The gatekeeper of the gate asked for the plot number. I gave it to him and he let me in.
in the chat.
It's a pretty big cemetery, and I'd only been there a couple other times. Not as the driver, though, so I had a hard time finding it. I didn't see many other people, if any, at the cemetery that day. I'm sure the weather had something to do with it. Eventually, I found his stone and parked my car in the grass to the side. I put some flowers down under his stone. Stood there for a while with my eyes closed.
Well, just take your hood off. For real. Just take it off, man. It's okay.
There was an old man standing about 5 rows of graves down, but directly across from me. He was looking right at me. I knew this man, though. It was my grandfather. But no, it couldn't be. I rubbed my eyes, and he was gone. Did I just have a spiritual moment? Or were my eyes and mind playing tricks on me? Either way, I got the chills and I had goosebumps. I was quite honestly freaked out. I got back in my car, said, "Love you, Grandpa," and drove off. I felt like I had a headache on my way home. Not sure why. I was the only car on Prospect Road, a quiet road with dense forest on either side. Commonly, there would be deer crossing here. As my car zipped down the road, I spotted someone on the side of the road coming up, which was odd. There were no sidewalks or a walking path on this road. I slowed down. Couldn't be. It looks like my grandpa. When I realized this, my heart dropped 1,000 feet, and I swerved the car accidentally. I desperately tried to regain control and come to a stop. Luckily, my car didn't end up in a tree. Rather, just skidded out in the middle of the road until coming to a halt. I immediately looked back to where I saw him, and I saw a deer on the side of the road, looking at my car. My heart was literally racing. I was terrified. I was not well. I needed to get home. No cars were coming, given what I had just
Sorry, guys. 1 sec. I got.
watching an episode of my show.
Who else tuned in?
I woke up at like 2 in the morning to my phone ringing. It was an unknown number. My heart started racing again. Any call at this hour couldn't be good news. I accepted the call and put the phone up to my ear.
Who is the person in the chat right
Static on the other
now?
end. Finally, I said, "Hello?" More static. What I thought I heard next, I couldn't believe. Just briefly, for maybe half a second, I thought I heard my grandpa's voice over the static. I tried to say hello again, but I was too shook. Every part of my body was actually shaking. Cut to silence and ended.
I'm just gonna shove it.
I called my phone provider the next day to trace the number. They couldn't. They didn't have enough data to trace it, apparently. So I don't know if that was just bullshit or not. The events that took place that day and night were the scariest I've ever experienced. Do I think my dead grandpa was trying to contact me? I don't know. Because that sounds ridiculous.
Did you remember what I said?
You'd think if you experienced something like this, you'd be so full of emotion and joy. But no,
Yeah, but
it still terrifies me. And I really still don't know what to think or how to feel about it. Whether it sounds ridiculous or not, this happened. And I wonder almost every other night, is that really my grandpa on the
You're the,
phone?
yeah, it says the person. I just looked in the wrong direction. You went, don't stare at them.
You just
I never claimed I wasn't.
yeah, I know, but you can't say that.
can't say that I wasn't. Thank you. It's a
My
very
friends
nice
and
thing
I
to say.
were very stupid when we were teenagers.
You're not cool.
I was
Wait,
like
I can't say
17
that.
or 18 when
You
this
can't say
happened.
that I'm so scared of
It
that.
was the month of October. I wanted to
Yeah,
do something
that-
scary in the spirit of Halloween.
Anybody in the chat?
There's a small cemetery about 10 minutes from where I live.
Said
And when I was drunk with a
Hold up, Sonny boy.
Anybody here?
That's dumb.
Oh, it's
Probably.
unless there's a window.
Must be.
Oh, someone gets bit by a werewolf.
couple friends.
Vampire at the
I
same
said
time.
we should sneak
Turn into a
into it.
vampire.
We're vampires.
I'll make up some names for
Be
my
an innocent
friends,
vampire.
Ryan and Mike. We were at Ryan's house. He didn't drink ever.
No one's
A wolf pie.
So when I came up with the
That's it.
idea,
Yeah,
he
no
was the one
one's
to
here in
drive
the
us
chat
to the
right now. No one
cemetery.
is here, please.
Mike and I were really the ones leading
Yeah,
this.
but this whole
Ryan was just along for the
This will
ride.
be released.
But then again, he hadn't been drinking.
Anyone, when I'm-
Ryan parked in some parking lot across the street.
Wait,
It
what?
was a ghost town because it was past midnight at that point.
Yes.
We made sure no one was around to see us as we hopped the fence into the cemetery. It wasn't exactly pitch black out, but it was slightly hard to see more than 10 feet in front of us. So we were all using our iPhone flashlights. There didn't appear to be any night security in the cemetery, so we kind of dispersed from each other. Ryan seemed to be following Mike more closely. I could still see where they were because of their flashlights.
Yeah, don't go
I
into
went off a little
cemeteries.
further on my own, and I decided I'd start taking a creepy video.
No, just
So
don't.
I started
ever go.
recording with the lights still on, of
Never.
course.
Not once.
I recorded a bunch of old headstones and the general eerie vibe
I
of the
remember,
cemetery
this
at
sort of
night.
fucking sucks.
I didn't see Mike and Ryan anymore, so I started to go look for them, still recording. I looked at my phone screen and froze. There was a woman, dressed in a white gown or dress, I want to say, with long, gray-looking hair. She was looking down at the ground. I looked up from my phone screen to look at her in person, but she was gone. I started to back away. I looked back at my phone screen, and there she was again. Only now she was looking into the camera, or rather, looking at me. I looked up from the phone again and could not see her once more, so I looked back down at the screen again, and there I could see her moving closer to me. I started to scream for Mike and Ryan as I sprinted away from that spot. I couldn't see their lights anywhere, and they weren't answering my screams. I had a feeling they were going to try to scare me, so I ran back for the fence of the cemetery to hop it and get out. I made it to Ryan's car and texted the two of them saying they need to get out of the cemetery now. They met me at the car minutes later. We all sat in the car, and I showed them the video I took. They had the same horrified looks on their faces I did. Now that I was actually watching the whole video, I could see the moment the woman slowly lifted her head from looking at the ground to looking at me, and then she starts to move towards me. We could only see her moving for like a second or two before I start screaming in the video and running away. But the way she was moving, we could see no leg movement. It almost seemed as though she were floating to me.
Do this.
I have that video saved on my old iPhone 4S, but the stupid thing won't turn on. It gets stuck at the Apple logo. I don't want to reset that phone until I can get that video off of it somehow. My friends firmly believe the woman in the video was a real, living person who also happened to be in the cemetery that night. But me, having been the one to actually find her, and only being able to see her on my phone screen, well, let's just say I was never a believer in the paranormal until that night.
It's not Julie.
Tell your friends to watch the stream and say stuff in the chat.
I'm trying to. I told you.
Tell them everyone. Not sure how Pat got here, but
Kind of weird.
oh no.
What?
And I was joking because Steve Keith was talking and said it as a joke.
Hold those flashlight up in the air. How is stream? We're okay. I'm actually kind of chilling spot. Don't
Yeah,
mind
there's
it.
a chill. We're in our front yard. Okay, nothing. I'll follow Mama and scare us.
Mom's asleep.
Yeah, I think. tell your friends to get up here. Wait, hold on.
What?
Will you rip a piece of tape from this?
Huh?
Just
Why?
I want to do something. Just tear a small piece. It doesn't have to be a big, like big piece. Get it just a square.
20 minutes. We are 1/3 done.
No, we're not even in the graveyard at this point. We're not gonna be in the graveyard. We're gonna be around it. That's me.
Don't fuck with the graveyard.
I'll get you home, mate. Oh, don't do. This next one,
No, this is how you ruin tape.
No, well, yeah.
No, we're not gonna do that.
But it looks so cool.
That was something. I'm not joking about.
What? Where?
Over there.
I don't see anything. Yeah, there's nothing. Why would someone try to attack us?
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying I heard something.
Yeah, it could be anything. Squirrel.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna go back to the freaking graveyard.
Oh, we call up your friends. Tell them to come watch. Anyone that comes and get us, I got these. Punching
Catch
balls.
these hands.
We're gonna make a sandwich.
If you press the gas, it stops.
We're gonna make a sandwich. I know.
Is there like, I guess there's not enough battery to support the lights and going fast.
Anything?
Please work. Dude. Oh my god.
Don't be crazy in the graveyard. That ain't a good idea.
Sorry. I meant that genuinely.
Yeah. Don't cross that path. Anyone can go.
Alright, we're in front of the graveyard again. Just to prove to you that we're not pansies. Honestly,
Don't like show any signs or anything.
we're not. It's just graves and American flag. They know I'm American.
Oh no.
They're doing
Who said that? Is that them?
Yeah. Come on. It's a failed attempt. Did you get Zubamba?
Yes. Chewbacca.
We didn't make it through that entire video though.
What?
The entire,
Yeah, I'll do it. So,
no, not that last one.
what the last? What? Was it the person in the water?
Yeah.
Like I saw the two things. The ghost, huh?
It's a ghost story, so that's typically how they work.
It's a ghost. What's it gonna do? I don't know. It could kill you, but.
Oh, there's a car. That's what it was.
Here, call up your friends. Don't come up
I
to me.
can't call up or it'll down the stream, can
Didn't you take a break? Didn't you do it last time?
I was able to text.
Oh yeah, text all. Do you have a group chat?
Yes.
Do that. You text them?
Yep. These headlights are fucking useless. Oh, I shouldn't say the F word. Sorry.
I'm
Well, would you like to play some more stories?
There's some more. Oh,
Guess there's nothing better to do in this here graveyard. We're not in the graveyard right now.
yeah, we're not in the graveyard.
We're not gonna lie to you.
We're
We're
decently close to it.
pretty darn close to it though.
10
I
yards.
wanna do animated story?
Sure.
What? They will need to see it.
Anyone watching? No. Anyone watching? I think that was enough.
Over there?
No, I was saying, anyone watching? I looked at the camera, I don't look over there. Said, anyone watching? And that's it, I'll take that.
Nope.
Anybody? Nope.
The other thing already done. All the time. Just okay.
This is the initial.
Gotta highlight that.
We gotta take some clips from this. You gotta post highlights from this.
Oh well.
Maybe we could like do this.
All Hallows Eve.
We need to make this a tradition.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of it at the moment.
Yeah, I know, but so is like a lot of people. They're not a big fan of the stuff they make, but they think it's fun and interesting. So they have it as a thing that they do.
Like Ryan.
What? Like what?
Ryan.
Yeah, I know. That's all I figured up. I said that. Like, question is solved. You're too many bits.
Well, Too Many Spirits is. Oh.
Don't give everyone a seizure. Stop. Jason is trying to stop this man from killing people.
Alright. Listen.
r/Yas credit. Posted by user Baphomet Jr. Graveyard shift workers of Reddit. What crazy, creepy, unbelievable things have you seen working in the dead of night? Possibly not safe for work. Around 12 years ago, I was working security at a small company's headquarters in New York City. My partner for the
I don't
night
realize
had
they're
been
doing
sick,
music.
so I had to work from
Oh, I
12
don't
to
like
6
that
all by
music. It
my
doesn't
lonesome.
sound good.
Now, normally,
I
this
think
wouldn't
you
be
like
a problem. I just had to sit in the back room, watch some cameras, and occasionally head out for a sweep. Nothing to it, right? Well, as it turns out, one of the employees had stayed in the building after hours
Eli just said
and had
homie.
managed to avoid my coworkers.
Oh my god.
Send me the bloopers.
I first noticed a movement in my peripheral vision on one of the screens, and then again a few minutes later. This was odd, because I was used to quiet nights in this particular building. I was a little scared when I headed out for my sweep, but it was my job, so
Oh, graveyard shift.
What?
That means like the third shift.
Yeah, I know. What? Why? Why?
So I accidentally searched that up.
Graveyard what now?
Goodness.
drink. We were all bored.
Anyone who comes at me.
Bored.
Anyone who comes at me, give them the slapping gloves.
Is getting the hands. Stop.
What? You go, stop. Let's head in.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know.
Tommy in it.
What?
Tommy in it.
You're doing it. Down
Stop.
ghost
I'm
story.
trying to. I got sidetracked. Do a Halloween scary story.
Eric's house, as his parents routinely flew to New York every year to attend a heroin overdose.
Is that chills? It kind of sounds like chills. Yeah, really.
I was 22 years old, attending a Halloween party at my former best friend Nick's house, who died of a heroin overdose in 2013.
I was going to my friend's house who died of a heroin overdose.
That is horrible.
Before his death, he would throw big Halloween parties every year at his house, as his parents routinely flew to New York every year to attend their own friend's party. He was always a big Halloween freak, so the whole house was littered with truly horrifying props that we all knew Nick spent way too much money on. He even put up giant walls of cardboard and covered them with wallpapers to create a haunted maze of sorts.
Cool.
I want to keep this story PG-13 rated, so I'll skip the weed, beer, LSD, and sex, and get right to the part where things got bad.
Thanks for cueing the PG.
I'll admit, we weren't in our right minds. None of us were. Anyone who came to Nick's parties knew what went down. Me, Nick, and a few other guys, Vinny G, Joey, and Q, were upstairs in Nick's room smoking a bong when we heard two steady, loud bangs come from downstairs. Nick clumsily but panickingly rushed to open the door and see what was going on. There were sounds of screaming of both guys and girls. I remember quite clearly it sounded as if there were a crowd of people screaming for their lives down there.
Yeah.
We all called Nick to come back in and shut the door. Even under the influence of drugs, we all knew what was going on. Nick ran back inside and shut the door quickly but also quietly, locking it behind him. He turned to us and had on the facial expression of someone who had just witnessed murder. What did you see? What's going on? We all shouted at him. He told us to hide before anything else. We all knew why.
Hold the light up.
From that point on, we didn't ask questions. Nick hid the lights and hid in the closet with Joey, while I hid under the bed with Q, and Vinny G hid in the storage box. I could hear the blasting music from downstairs turn off, followed by a grown man screaming at everyone to shut up. One unfortunate girl let out a scream of shock and fear, and after another bang, silence.
Well,
The man started shouting at everyone again, but personally I couldn't hear it too well, and I certainly as hell wouldn't remember exactly what he was shouting. We heard two other men shouting. By now there were a confirmed 3 intruders in the house, but there could have been more for all we knew at that point.
what was their plan?
We heard the sound of boots stomping up the stairs and then coming halfway down the hall and stopping outside the bedroom door. The intruder on the other side of the door tried the doorknob, but when he realized it was locked, he started ramming into the door with most likely his shoulder. After a few failed attempts at that, the sound of a few shots to the doorknob were clearly enough to break the lock, allowing the door to swing open. We heard cries from downstairs after the shots to the doorknob, followed by silence and gunshot. Me and Nick had our hands on our mouths to shield our breathing
I
noises.
was about to say something.
I watched through the transparent cloth that hung from the bottom of Nick's bed as the black boots with overlapping ripping denim jeans moved instinctively to the closet. He opened the door. I could hear Nick begging for the intruder not to kill him, offering a generous amount of money if they would leave. Nick gave himself up as the house owner. That's when the intruder ordered him downstairs. The rest of us stayed put. Apparently Joey hadn't been caught with Nick. We stayed under the bed, shaking and afraid. There was near silence from downstairs, other than Nick talking with the intruders, but whatever they were saying was much too low for us to hear. It felt like a near 20 minutes before the front door slammed shut and Nick came running back upstairs to tell us that they were gone. I think the most horrifying moment of my life was when I stepped downstairs back into the living room and saw the 2 dead bodies laying lifelessly on the ground, holes in their heads spewing out blood. Jen and Robbie, 2 good friends that I still miss. I'll spare you the details of what happened when the police arrived, but despite the fact that the house smelled like a marijuana greenhouse, the police were more interested in finding out who the masked men
That's
were
fair
that
enough.
killed 2 innocent college students.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't.
yeah.
They weren't
Nicky
armed
told the
for
4 of us who were
marijuana,
hiding in
'cause
his
it's
room
probably
that there
the
were
worst
4
drug.
intruders in total, all wearing fedoras, vendetta masks, coats, and gloves. They demanded $100,000 in cash, and when Nick could not provide it, they demanded he fill their empty sack with his most valued possessions. All the partygoers held hostage in the room were also forced to throw their wallets into the sack or they would be shot.
Do it now.
After the incident, Nick became depressed. He started drinking too much, becoming an alcoholic. He stopped showing up to school and ultimately ended up dropping out. He started the use of heavier drugs, such as meth and heroin. I had one good talk with him since the incident, and he was more real during this talk than he had ever been. He told me, with tears rolling down his cheeks and a pipe in his hand, he lived in constant pain, knowing he caused the death of 2 of his best friends.
That's not true.
He
That's
died of a
just
heroin
sad.
overdose in July of
That isn't
2013,
true,
not even a year after the incident.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, man. It says you.
You
Who's
just
in the chat?
It was my
Who's
first
in the
Halloween
chat?
living in my
Tell
own
us.
house away from my
tell
parents.
us now, or we will
I lived in a
kill
small
you.
corner house
Yes,
with a
baby.
basement but no
Got
upstairs,
my
a house
beat.
my parents paid half for. It was 11 o'clock at night. I was sitting in the living room watching
Do that
scary
motion again.
Halloween
No,
movies
don't actually
when I
don't.
found myself
Why?
getting up to answer a
That-
knock at the
That
door.
means probably,
But then I stopped and thought, who could be at the door at 11 p.m.?
probably a
Surely
mother.
there were no more trick-or-treaters out. I had a pretty good feeling it was a late-night Halloween ding-dong ditcher,
Halloweener.
so I gave it a second.
Wait, no.
Then I shot a glance
Late
at the
night
doors through the
Halloween
window.
ding dong.
They were
No,
gone
they
already.
were. Well, maybe it
Yep,
was packed.
ding
Maybe
dong
it said
ditchers.
all that.
I sat back down, not thinking twice about
Sorry,
it.
everyone.
And again,
Sorry, Pat.
knocking at the front
Sorry,
door.
ding donger.
If they're packs here,
Get lost, I
they
yelled.
sell stuff.
I was not in the mood for punky kids.
Not moving for punks.
They ignored my demands and started pounding now,
You
not
can
just
see the
knocking.
particles.
I was pissed
I
now.
can see them.
I leaped up and
They
swung the
think
door
you're
open.
They
No
think
one
you're
was
not
there
a
once
Lincoln,
again.
man.
I slipped on my shoes and headed outside to
Black
begin
line.
searching the bushes for
Black
the
line, you're
kids.
back.
But there was
Hooray.
nobody in sight.
Bro.
Not in the bushes, not behind my car, not across the street. I was done answering. I didn't want to feed into their fun anymore,
I'm
so
gonna
I went
feed
back
into their
inside,
desire.
double-locked the door, and went to my bedroom, also locking that door, just to feel safer, I guess.
Okay.
Even over the TV, I could still hear the stupid kids
Oh, you're
pounding on my
shouting
front
very
door repeatedly.
threatening.
I was so close
were
to
gonna be
calling
the
the
jump
cops to
scare.
get them away, but that would undoubtedly lead to my house being egged or teepeed.
Egg.
The pounding continued for an uncomfortably long time, more than half an hour.
Uncomfortable.
I thought these kids must be filming something for YouTube and were desperate for a reaction, but I wasn't going to give it to them.
Well, we're
At some point, I dozed off with the TV on, only to wake up to the knocking again.
We did break into that man's house.
Yeah, we do.
I looked at the clock. It was 2 in the
And then we wrote
fucking
the story
morning.
on his computer.
How could those kids still be at it? I thought. I turned the TV off and sat up with my ears open.
My cheeks
For a
are-
few moments, my heart completely stopped as I realized the knocking was not at my front door, but rather at my bedroom door. I jumped out of bed, looking around my room like a madman for something to use as a weapon.
How does that work? Is he locked in the
They
bedroom?
knew I was
Why would they
awake
knock
now.
on the bedroom
They
door?
were trying the doorknob, trying to
But how
bust
would it
down
be
the
locked if
door.
he wasn't in it?
These weren't any kids.
He wasn't.
By some
How did he get
miracle, I
locked
came up
in?
with an
He
idea.
walked
It was a
in.
long
He
shot,
said
but
he
it was all I
didn't
could
do
think
it.
of.
For security.
I turned on the receiver to my speaker system, plugged in my iPhone, brought up the YouTube app,
Oh, he's in the
typed in
bedroom?
45 gunshot sound
Oh, I
effect.
thought he was like
Turned on the
downstairs and they
volume
just
and
went out the
pressed
door and
play.
started banging
The
on
sound
it.
of a gunshot echoed out of the speakers.
Oh,
It sounded
he had
real
the
enough.
speakers.
I paused the video
What
after
a
the first
fucking
shot, yelled,
genius.
I know.
"That was
Oh,
a
sorry,
warning
I
shot.
can't curse. I'm
Leave
so
now or I
sorry.
won't
He's
hesitate
such
to
a-
shoot you in the
Pat's
head."
gonna be mad.
Pax,
And it worked.
his childhood's ruined.
I
He's
heard
never
2
heard
pairs
that
of
before.
footsteps
Yeah,
stomping over my
definitely
wood
never heard
floors
that
and out the
one
front
once.
door. I gave it a moment before opening my bedroom door and peeking
Are his
outside.
parents the type that would say
They were
that?
gone,
I
but
don't
the front
know,
door
like,
was left wide open.
you know,
I
he
quickly
knows
shut
what-
it,
he-
called the
he knows-
police,
he knows
and
the
that's
word.
where my
The dreaded
story
word.
ended.
The dreaded word. You know, the dreaded word. You know, cursing.
Alright, we made it through that story.
That was a good
So
story.
I was
liked
never
it. It was
really a
fun.
big
I mean, the guy
Halloween
was
person.
smart, so I
Yeah.
appreciate
Mostly
that.
because I grew up without many friends, and once I passed the age of 10, I couldn't use the excuse of going with my mom anymore. And it's not like I had friends to go with. So this last Halloween, I was 14 years old. I do have a little sister who's only 8. So my mom went
40
trick-or-treating with her.
minutes. How long do you want to do this? An hour?
My one really good friend,
We could
Steve,
go longer.
No,
already
we're
had
doing it.
plans, and I didn't want to
That's all.
impose.
That's all.
So
I'm
it
giving
didn't
you
seem
now.
like I'd be trick-or-treating
No,
this
it's
year.
not. And also, no,
I
it's
felt a
not
tiny
good.
part of me explode with happiness on the inside when my mom asked me to stay home and hand out candies. Now I felt like I had a job to do that didn't involve me trick-or-treating alone like a loser. My mom left with my sister at about 6 o'clock, about an hour after she got home from work. She told me to expect her back around 9. So I was relaxing on the couch in the living room, watching the scary movie marathon on AMC, and occasionally answering the door to give candy to the kids. And while doing that, the kitchen phone began to ring.
You like nuts.
You like to go to the movies while like
That's
I remember the ringer was set so loud it actually made me jump.
Yo, mama.
I picked up the phone
do you know about this?
and the other end remained silent,
What do you
except for a bit
know
of fumbling
about-
and background
What?
noise.
What else is the thing?
Sounds you'd expect when somebody's holding a phone. I think I said hello about 5 times before the person on the other end hung up. I just knew it was somebody pulling a Halloween prank call on
No.
me.
I just knew.
What else could I do but ignore it? That worked well enough for the next few minutes, watching TV, answering the phone until the phone rang again.
Then I was a little ticked.
Same unknown number coming up on the caller ID. I wanted to see where this was going. So I
You
picked
did
it
not
up once
take it off the
more.
mask once.
This time I could hear a very faint breathing on the other end. All right, Steve, I know it's you, I said into the phone.
Huh?
They hung up.
Don't know the
By
what?
this point, I didn't want to say I was scared,
Oh,
but I
it
was...
says fiction in the back.
sure a bit
What the
uneasy.
hell does that mean?
It was a long time before that phone rang again. It was getting later.
We can't
Darker.
mention all the.
And the doorbell seemed to be ringing less and less. I was watching the original Friday the 13th when it happened again. The sound of that phone ringing had become sickening,
It's me.
as I knew who it
I'm
would
Jason.
be, or rather,
No, I don't think so.
I look
I
like
did.
Jason without the mask.
for some reason,
That's who
I
I
gave
am.
in again and picked up.
Oh, because
And once again,
Oh my god.
Silence.
It's time for the wicked.
other than the faint breathing and
Look
fumbling
at
with
that
the
book.
phone,
Wait.
Yep.
You're not pause it. Why? I'll tell you why.
Get something. Find it. Oh my god.
I found
Oh my god, it's a ghost.
We
By
found
the way, I
him.
looked in that mirror and I saw my face and I freaked
can
out.
imagine.
I freaked out for it. I didn't realize it did. I can't imagine.
It was like this for almost half a minute before they finally spoke in an exaggerated, deep voice.
I'll be paying you a visit tonight.
I had enough of this joke.
I'll
I told them to fuck off and hang up the phone, promising to myself not to pick it up again.
This is PG.
That's what we told the dude.
I'm gonna
I'd
call
say
this
about
the
half an hour
PG
later,
live stream rated
out of the blue.
PG.
Dude, I think
All the power in the house was cut.
That's why I was on the phone. I told him, dude, say that.
The lights
it's a
went out.
PG.
What a
The TV
madman.
turned
I
off.
know.
Who knows
Complete
what's up?
darkness.
Darkness. Oh,
I stood up, now frozen in fear. When loud and angry thumping came from the front door, I completely lost it and began screaming like a girl, but there was something coming from outside. Laughter. I recognized that laughter. I opened the door and there he was,
Wait,
Stephen. I shoved him nearly down the steps out of anger. So, that was you who made those dumb phone calls, I asked.
No, it's not
He
gonna be
nodded while
true.
laughing.
Oh,
I didn't sound
Oh, I
like you on the
thought it was
phone.
gonna be
Let me
him.
hear you do that voice again, I said. What?
oh.
He seemed
shit.
confused.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything, you idiot. I just called and did that heavy breathing. I thought he was lying at first,
What a liar.
but then my heart dropped. I had him follow me to the fuse box outside. Just as I feared, it had been opened and all the wires had been snipped. I think we ran faster than any Olympic champions back into the house. I called my mom, who told us to stay inside and wait for the police. She then called. The call was traced to a payphone outside of a nearby bar.
Hey, he's right.
I still wonder,
I did these payphones.
was this just a dumb Halloween prank gone too far?
Cut off those.
Or was it a potential break-in? And God knows what else waiting to happen.
It was Steven. It
I
was.
don't think I ever want to find out.
That's a stupid ending. I mean, not like literally, but it's stupid as it. I don't think I ever want to find out.
When I was younger,
Damn,
my friends and I went trick-or-treating every
I thought it
year.
was over.
This one particular year,
There's
as
8
we were
this time.
trick-or-treating, we passed a man who stood still with a mask on, holding a lantern. As we walked past him, he turned his whole body around and followed us with his eyes. We were creeped out, but there were plenty of people around, so we made our way to the next house. My friends and I saw him over and over again as we made our way from house to house. He seemed to be following us in typical horror story form. We walked so slow, we couldn't figure out how he kept up with us. At
We
one
walked
house,
so
when we
slow?
hadn't seen him for
Wait,
a
did
while,
you say we walked
We got
so
our candy.
slow? I couldn't figure out how we kept getting.
as we turned around
Can't
to walk
keep out.
back to the street, the
No,
masked
sorry,
man stood
PG.
in the road waiting for us.
We need to do a compilation of me punching you.
Immediately, we knocked back on the door and told the owners of the house about it.
Stop. Stop it.
The masked man continued walking down the street, and we didn't see him again that night.
Shh.
Later on,
Shut up.
an adult friend of the family told us he saw a masked man hiding behind a tree, waving little kids over. And he only backed off when he threatened to call the police.
Dude, that's actually pretty scary.
Not pretty good. That's not bad. You like
I was
to
trick or
play
treating with
tennis
my
and
friend
football?
Casey. We were both 11 years old at the time. We were walking across a small wooden bridge over a small river that
Says
many
the
call
boy.
Jack Winkle River.
Wearing the
When a
Jason
black
costume.
Jeep pulled up on the other side of the bridge, basically blocking our way. We turned around and hurried away. We were the
Wait,
types
is
of
this the
kids
same
to
story?
obey the stranger danger rules. We could hear the windows of the Jeep rolling down, and a
What?
man with a raspy smoker's voice called for us to come back.
No drooling.
He was yelling for help, asking us for directions. I yelled sorry, and we continued to hurry away. The Jeep couldn't fit over that small bridge, so it pulled away and drove down the road on the other side. We thought we had made our escape from the creepy driver, when here came an SUV barreling around the corner and down the street, slamming on the brakes in front of us. Once again, the driver rolled down the windows. Now with them right next to us, we could see there were two passengers in the car as well. An old guy with gray curly hair and a mustache in the backseat, who also had a raspy smoker's voice, told us to get in the car, that they have free bags of candy.
He's so cool.
The Jeep banged a three-point turn and tailed us wherever we went. At one point, the Jeep finally accelerated past us, came to a stop, and the back and front passenger side doors opened, and the two creepy men stepped out lunging at us. We dropped our bags of candy and ran straight for my house, which was in sight now. We rang the doorbell desperately at least 20 times. The old men that were chasing us couldn't run fast, and when they saw us running to my house, they turned back. My mom opened the door, and we screamed and pointed at the Jeep that was backing away in the other direction. She shoved us inside and locked the door and called the police like any mob would. She reported the black Jeep with three men inside, older looking, raspy voices, and any other descriptions we gave. My mom was freaking out all night, worried about the fact that they knew where we lived now. My dad tried to calm her, but she couldn't calm down. Ultimately, the police agreed to send an
That's the end of
unmarked
the
police
stream.
car to stay out front and keep guard for
Yes, it
3
is.
hours.
Yes.
That made my mom feel a little better. But what made us all feel better was when my dad woke us up to see the flashing red and blue lights outside of the unmarked police car. They had pulled over an SUV, a black Jeep, and 3 men were in cuffs. The 3 old creeps that tried to kidnap me and Casey. My dad went outside to talk to the officer and most likely confirmed that those were the men. Me and Casey went to the doorway and screamed at the men for their attention. They looked, and we both gave them the finger. My mom then pulled us back in and shut the door, sending us to bed. We went from the worst night in both of our lives to ultimately the best night of our lives.
Wait, what? Why?
This
Don't leave me, you sussy baka. And I think the phone's about good, so I think we should wrap this up. Well, that concludes our little adventure.
Because he's a nerd.
I want to quit because I'm cold as hell,
He has hair. What of you say?
and I'm also scared.
Over here.
All right, thank you guys for. Actually, no, you didn't watch, so no, thank you. Actually,
Except for Pat.
except for you, Pax, and you creep who wouldn't tell us who you are.